Awesome. All right, everyone. Cool. So welcome all to the third Women in Product Toastmasters Club meeting. And I'm going to keep that count while we're still in the single digits. How about that? So my name is Svetlana. I'm your Sergeant at Arms today. And I'll take you through a few quick Zoom tips in case anyone is joining via Zoom for the first time. So you can use your earbuds, headset, or computer audio to join, and you'll notice that when you join, you are muted on entering. You can toggle your mic in the lower left-hand corner on and off, and please, we ask that you keep it muted while other people are speaking, but you can toggle on when you speak. Same thing with the video. You can toggle your video on and off. We encourage you to keep it on so we can all see each other. In the upper right-hand corner, it's in your control to adjust your view from gallery to active speaker. In the middle on the bottom, there's the chat feature. So you can leave notes, ask questions to speakers, but please do so in between speeches. And you can also direct message participants by selecting their names from the dropdown. Finally, you can add your reactions here. And another note is that this meeting is being recorded, as it is our policy that by participating in our meeting, you agree that the recording will be made and made available publicly on our YouTube channel and our website. And at this time, I'd like to introduce you all to our president, Erica. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing here.
Thank you, Svetlana, and I believe thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I would like to welcome everybody to the meeting, especially our guests. Our mission here at the Women in Product Toastmasters Club is to provide an opportunity for women to develop product management skills, to build and practice communication techniques, and to gain leadership experience in a safe, supported, and collegial forum. And at this moment, I'd like to invite our guests, if you would like to introduce yourself, maybe tell us about a product role or a company that you work for or hope to work for, maybe where you're at, maybe what your superpower is. If you feel comfortable, I believe we have Clara. Nice to meet you, Clara.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so my name is Clara. I actually work with Lori at Inside Track. I'm also another product manager there. I am in Los Angeles right now. I used to live in Portland, around where Lori was. My superpower, I've been thinking about this all night. So my superpower, I would have to say, is feeling comfortable and actually enjoying going out to dinners by myself, having dinners alone time by myself, treating myself out.
Thanks for coming, Clara. I would love to have that superpower because that is not a superpower that I have. Let's see. Narubi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Ruby Martinez. I'm also in LA, California, and I work as a product marketing manager in a gaming company called Jam City. And my superpower, that's gonna be hard, but I would say connecting with people, because I'm a quadruplet, so I had twins in my life, so it's easy for me to connect with people all the time. So yeah, that's a bit about myself today.
Think you so much. Welcome. Let's see, I think we had another on the list, but I don't know. I think I see a Patricia.
There will be one, I think, joining really soon. I just let her in.
Okay. And I'm searching. Well, well, welcome all guests. Are there any other guests that would like to introduce themselves? Okay. Was that somebody pop up there? Okay. Anyway, we would like to invite you all to participate in the meeting. We have a table topic session later where you can just hop in and talk about table topics if you're called on. And we welcome your feedback at the end of the meeting. to let us know how we're doing. So I will hand it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Svetlana.
Thank you. So hi, everyone again. So I am the Sergeant at Arms on the leadership team for this club and today's Toastmaster. And today's theme is product launch. It can be the most exciting moment, right, of the product development lifecycle, but it's by no means the last step. De-risking your launches takes some strategic thinking. Monitoring post-launch is equally, if not even more important for a product manager. And this theme, you will notice, will be weaved through the discussion. And so from here, one moment. Just gonna go ahead and share this. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
No, not as yet.
Oh. Uh-oh, one moment. Okay. It's loading. All right, I'm just gonna start going through it while it loads. Hold on. Let's see. Why isn't it? Anyway, once it loads, it will basically be a list that I'm gonna go through anyway. So our speakers today will be Shramaya Kocharlakota, Nisha Singh, and Erica Tamburo. You will hear their introductions in detail in their speeches. Our table topics, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing because that's not working. Our table topics master today is Alyona Kratenko, who will moderate the impromptu speech section. And then for our evaluations today, we have a general evaluator, Rita Barber, who most of you have met over the last few weeks. Our three speech evaluators are Lori Hankin, our VP of Public Relations, Rita Barber, our amazing club mentor, and Jennifer Ginsburg, our inspiring mountain biking product manager. Nav Randawa, our VP of membership, is the grammarian for the day. Rosalia Hernandez will be the counter, and Namrata Rao will be the timer for the day. And then for this, I'm gonna need my slide. Can someone share the functionary slide, please?
Let me do it.
In the deck, from the deck.
Yes, let me do it. Oh,
Great.
it's already
You
good.
could just go ahead and present that so I can read.
Erica?
So as a reminder, and then for new members, a few words about the meeting functionaries. So that's the different people who will be participating in this meeting. So we have the general evaluator, who will be responsible for the evaluator's grammarian, counter, and timer. During the meeting, they will take notes, and at the end of the meeting, they will report on the session's proceedings, everything from timelines to the enthusiasm, preparation, and performance of their duties. The speech evaluators, today, again, Lori, Rita, and Jennifer, they will be evaluating the prepared speech according to the criteria. And so those will be the first 3 speeches that I mentioned. We also have a grammarian, Nav. She will be listening to all the speeches and roles and make notes of exemplary use of grammar and areas where usage can be improved. The counter, Rosalia, she will be listening to all our speeches and note any filler words or sounds that usually detract from the main content. And finally, we have a timer, Namrata, who will be giving timing signals for speakers and evaluators. The first 3 speeches are icebreakers, should be between 4 and 6 minutes. And then when we get to the table topics, those speeches will be between 1 and 2 minutes. And with that, we can go to the next slide. Oh, okay. And now I'm going to hand over to Nav, who will present the word of the day.
Could somebody share the slide, please? I'm not seeing it. Are we seeing the slide? Yeah, so the word of the day is metric or metrics, which is a method of measuring something or the results obtained. So since today's topic is product launch, an example would be launch campaign metrics, such as lead generation, promotional channel metrics, website traffic, page views can all help uncover success of your product launch. Another example of the usage could be improvement in DAU is the North Star metric we use to measure success of our launches. Key market impact metrics include revenue, market share, and competitive win rate. So please do try to use the word metric or metrics in your speeches and table topics. And yeah, looking forward to your speeches.
Great. So our first speaker today is Shrimai. She is a senior SRE and an aspiring PM based out of Charlotte. She's a technology enthusiast and a passionate advocate for women in tech. When not working, she loves to go out on walks with her family, including her newborn and 2-year-old golden retriever. So Shrimai, please tell us the title of your speech and then go ahead and begin.
Thank you, Svetlana, for that introduction. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I'm very happy to be here trying to talk about one of my favorite topics, product launch. Today I want to talk about some key strategies and readiness required for a product launch. So product launch is definitely an exciting time where the idea and concepts will actually translate into a solution that are ready to launch and customers can use and actually give feedback. So it's important that the product launch is strategized very well. So today, to start off, product launch is the business's coordinated and planned effort to launch the product into the market. So there are many release stages of a product launch. It could be an alpha release where you're actually just releasing the product to people who will give you a friendly perspective. Like it could be somebody who's personally invested in you, like your mom, your friends. Here, you're not looking to get any critical feedback about the product, but what you're trying to look is if the product is generally working as expected, there is no unexpected things that break in the overall flow. And then you could move on to a beta release. Now, beta release is to launch a product to only a set of people that have voluntarily signed up, that have interest in your product and want to give you feedback. Now, this is very common, for example, in gaming companies. There are gamer enthusiasts who always want to sign up to test the game that's not actually released into the market yet. And then there is the general availability. Now, this is a product manager's global release party. The product is actually launched into the market. You get to then see the customer's reaction and the adoption, and you get to measure the metrics and see how your product is doing into the market with the general availability. Now, having talked about the release stages, I want to touch a little bit about the readiness required for a product launch. There are two types of readiness which needs to be planned before a product release. So it is a first component is the internal readiness, and the second component is the external readiness. In the interest of time, I just want to touch a little bit about the internal readiness that's required for a product launch. So when you're launching a product, it's important to know what I want to accomplish as a result of shipping this product into the market. One of the ways to ensure that internally as a company we're ready is to have a checklist of all the items that I need to remember before launching the product. Now, this one does not need to be followed to the book, but what it helps to do is make sure that you do not forget anything like while launching the product. So some of the key things as part of this checklist for the internal readiness are to make sure that the product is, first of all, functioning as expected, it's bug free, and it's priced and positioned well, and make sure your support team is well trained in what this new feature or the product is so that they'll be ready to answer the customer calls with questions regarding the new product. And you also, more often than not, partner with other companies to launch something together. So it's important for the partner readiness piece to be uh, to be looked at with critical importance as well. And then most features have operations readiness component to them, and you need to make sure your operations team is ready for this product launch. The other two important things to complete this list, but they're not, it's obviously not exhaustive. Like it depends, the checklist depends on the company and the product and you're trying to launch, is the critical piece that I want to mention is also sales and marketing readiness. So you want to make sure the message is out there. You want to make sure the product is being received, or it's people are aware of your product launch. You want to make sure your sales team is ready and trained in how the product or the feature works so that they can quickly demo to the customers and they're not stuck trying to understand the product. So, to summarize, these are all the critical checklist items for the internal readiness to ensure a successful product launch. There are other external metrics which I am not going to touch today, but ensuring that the internal readiness and external readiness of the product is maintained before the release is critical to its success in the market. Thank you so much. Over to you, Svetlana.
Thank you so much, Shrumai. That's so fascinating. Yes, great job. The entire time I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to absolutely be rewatching this whole video and taking notes. So thank you so much. Great, so on to our next speaker. And our next speaker today is Misha Singh. She is a technical PM at Facebook. So Misha, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, Svetlana. And thank you for putting together the framework, Srimai. I can add on to that and give a story, a product launch story that I went through. So I couldn't attend the meeting on the 22nd because it was my birthday. So I was giving myself that break and it was super light weekend for me. And as I was catching up on the Facebook group and I heard about the topic for today, I knew this was my time to sign up and talk about my icebreaker speech. So my product launch story is about building a product to meet privacy compliance for a larger company initiative, paving the path for me to build my brand in privacy. Hi, everyone. I am Misha Singh, a product TPM at Facebook. I have been in product for over 6 years, 6 years now. I started my career at Intel after I graduated from UC Berkeley with electrical engineering and computer science degree. My last gig at Intel was designing and winning market share for Intel-based Chromebooks. And at Facebook, I am in the growth organization, and our mission is to work on initiatives to improve monthly and daily active users. Last month, Facebook launched a product to connect your Facebook and Instagram accounts through your account center in settings. While that user value is is to get the connected experience across your apps, like messaging services or cross-posting your photos, pictures, etc. Photos, posts, etc. Um, Privacy was in the front and center of the product that my team was building. Building products while keeping the company's commitments for the data transparency with our users between their accounts was key. And that was my product. Instead of launching a product, my goal was to deprecate few usages between the apps to keep privacy compliance. My story of launching yet unlaunching for the greater benefit and longer term company vision built my brand as the subject matter consultant on the data privacy for the team. Deprecating a partial feature for a key product might seem simple, but if you haven't worked in the privacy space before, you may not know that just by auditing and correcting your code, the job is only partially done. The devil is to prove that on the ongoing basis, you can guarantee that any data leakage will be detected and you have the right monitoring and detection in place and enforcements in place as well for years to come to stay in compliance. Although I led the team, the behemoth task was executed by a collaboration between data engineers, software engineers, and machine learning engineers. Although we had a framework with roadmap, execution timelines, metrics established at the beginning of the project, the team was oblivious to the gaps in our tools, scope, and privacy bar. We were unaware that we were the early adopters for some of the newest tools. While we battled with the emerging increasing privacy bar for launch, we also had to keep on innovating on our tools to meet the overall product launch timelines and testing timelines. For a few weeks, our launch was gating the testing of the entire Accounts Center product in major markets. With the spotlight that our team unfortunately enjoyed for a few weeks, it meant that we were in these continuous war room modes, late night VCs, and we were trying to solve for the unknowns. But once we hit green on all the metrics and finally took the team across the finish line, it was almost like a sapling was ready to be sown in the main garden and um, uh, just test it out if it thrives, right? And during this time, our team demonstrated this inexplicable strength. The constant collaboration while embracing the unknowns, where within our team, it was basically our best friend. I realized that in the last 7 months, I had built a reputation of being the subject matter expert on privacy and data usage guidelines within the team. This is paving the path for me to shine with the knowledge and expertise I have gained in the last few months and better build the products of the future with privacy first mindset. So I learned two lessons with this launch. One, don't be shy in to raise your hand and focus on the opportunity to learn a new area, even though it might not be the most sexiest project. You may explore a new domain that will teach you a new area, and that might be your lever for growth. Second, empathy. In product management, we are taught to be empathetic towards our product users. And I would like to take that sentiment one step forward. I would say be empathetic towards your group, towards your team, and yourself. This is the ingredient to the secret sauce to build a dream team who's ready to cancel their vacation plans and make a product launch successful. Thank you all for your time today. It was a great opportunity to share my experience with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Misha. That was great. Oh my goodness. Being empathetic to ourselves, isn't that the hardest? The hardest. Everyone is like, yes. Oh my goodness. But yes, you are absolutely right, because when we're not taking care of ourselves, it's very hard to take care of others. And the team absolutely looks to us, right, as a product manager to sort of set the tone and keep that kind of confidence in taking one step ahead every time, right? Thank you so much. Great, so we have one more speech. Erica, the president of our club, is next. She is from Pittsburgh, and is a technical program manager working in healthcare, and also an artist. I hope we hear a little more about that today. Erica's happy place is curled up with her doxy, Freddie. Erica, take it away.
Thank you, Svetlana, and happy birthday, Misha. Hello, I'm Erica Tamburo, and I'm a multi-passionate creative with equal parts left brain and right brain. As a true multi-passionate, every day almost feels like a new product launch, which makes life equal parts exhausting and exciting. My path to discover all of my passions started on a small farm in Ohio and have led me to not one, but two dream products. I grew up in Ohio, in the Ohio River Valley. You could find me in a few places around the 140-acre family farm. You could find me in the cornfield, likely following my grandfather through the field, collecting fresh sweet corn as he picked it, wrangling large buckets back to the wagon to sell at the produce stand. Or I'd be following him as he wielded a very large machete. He would chop down the corn stalks and I'd collect them for cow fodder. Or you could find me at the produce stand. The produce stand consisted of a yellow and white striped umbrella next to a tree, under which we would arrange wooden crates and buckets of produce, a scale to measure the weight of our homegrown tomatoes. I would either be bagging up produce, counting out change, or seated on my grandmother's large handmade patchwork quilt, immersed in a pile of books. But I was always on the lookout for the next big rig that would drive by that would be kind enough to give me a toot of his horn, a little encouragement. You could also find me in the hay field. I'd be very desperately clinging to a very worn and slippery hay wagon. I was learning to hang on and balance and stack hay bales, all while managing not to tumble over to the side and down one of those beautiful rolling hills that Ohio is known for. If you'd ever like to meet my grandfather, you can stop by the town's famous Nutcracker Village, where he's now commemorated as Farmer Fred the Nutcracker. I never thought I would have such an emotional response to a nutcracker, but I do love visiting him every winter. I learned many things growing up on the farm, not to leave gates open, not to touch the electric fence. But I really learned that entrepreneurship was fun, and providing values to others in the community was very fulfilling. And most importantly, I learned that with hard work and education, anything was possible. I could be whatever it is that I wanted to be, as long as it was not a farmer. In college, I pursued biomedical engineering as a degree. And 18 years ago, I discovered my love of product. I fell in love with design. I fell in love with leadership. And I rediscovered an entrepreneurial spirit I actually didn't realize that I had. I focused my research activities. My focus on research activities gave me the opportunity to define user needs, design and develop products in response to those needs, and iterate on that process. It all started with an automated medication dispenser for Alzheimer's patients that we very uncreatively named the AMED. I started to focus on rehabilitation products and worked on designing things like a wheelchair-mounted pelvic restraint, sports wheelchair for developing countries. And my thesis was on an upper extremity arm cycle that allowed people with paralysis to exercise while playing video games. I loved listening to people's needs. I still love listening to people's needs and translate that into technology. And I found myself learning interesting lessons about successful and unsuccessful engineering and development. Then life threw me a curveball. I was on track to get a PhD, and it turns out I didn't want a PhD. I wanted to be creating, not writing papers and grants. And that was the path that I was on. So I took a temporary 10-year job. I was recently asked what surprised me most about my career during an interview to promote women in STEM careers. And my response was that I was surprised to find out that I liked software. I always thought it was hardware. And it wasn't until I had to use software as a tool to start solving problems that I became a programmer and dove into medical imaging. So at the same time I was discovering the fascinating world of medical imaging, I was picking up a camera. I started a photography business with my husband. My right brain now determined that it had had enough and demanded that I give it more time and energy. I hadn't realized at that time, but I was starting not one, but two careers that would grow in parallel with each other. And interestingly enough, as I got closer to finding my artistic voice, I was developing into a strong and respected leader at work. And my art was giving me the confidence to do so. Now, 10 years later, my left brain and right brain are making big changes again. I'm pivoting to a product management role that'll allow me to focus more on consumer and business needs. I'm rebranding my art to honor my new mission and voice. Both are fulfilling what I would consider are my dream products, our theme for today. I'm working with a company that designs robots to teach young girls to code. And I can't believe how lucky I am to have found this opportunity. I'm so excited to develop a product that will excite young girls about coding and engineering. And it really makes my heart happy. And not to be forgotten, my right brain is finally happy about finding its unique artistic voice. I'm taking a leap forward with my business to share it with the world, along with my message. And that message is to honor all of your gifts, no matter how you see them fit or not fit together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How wonderful. Thank you so much for your story. That was such a beautiful, like I felt like I was right there with you on your farm. That was so illustrative. And yeah, I mean, I think the big lesson for a lot of us is that it's never too late or too early to pivot, to find new passions, to pursue those passions, and, you know, give it our best, right? Give it our all. Thank you so much. And always the best of luck with everything. And so now we are going to move on. Next, we are going to kick off the table topics portion of this meeting. And please welcome Alyona Kratenko, today's topics master.
Hello, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. First, a little bit of a reminder of what the table topics are actually about. So this is a great chance for everyone, including the guests, to practice the impromptu speeches. So I'll be asking 3 questions, and today's topic is the product launch. And you will be given, I would say the speech should be between 1 to 2 minutes. After 1 minute, the timer, Namrata, if you can look at her screen, it's going to become green, meaning you're still good. Then when you're going to be talking for 1.5 minutes, it's going to become yellow. And after 2 minutes, it's going to become red. So let's hear the first question. So what do you think are the 3 main skills a product manager should have to launch a successful product? And for that one, I want to ask Clara. Is she here? Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, I was not I was not thinking I was going to be put on the spot. So 3 things for a successful launch. So I guess I'll just tell a story about my launches and what made them successful. There was a product that we had a lot of pressure to launch. The client was pretty demanding, and the partnership that we had with some affiliates were complicated. But what made it very successful is that we had clear communication with expectations from our clients and our partners. There was very collaborative work between our teams as well as the teams from the other affiliates. And so in terms of launching, we were able to make sure that all the expectations were met, and yeah. Sorry, I got distracted by the green. I totally lost track of what I was going to say. I think that's going to be it.
Thank you, Clara. No, actually, it was great because see, this is actually a great learning moment where I can call on everyone, including the guests, and it's okay. That's why we're all here, to practice, to learn from it, and yeah, just get better and better. So good job, Clara. The second question that I have is, what product are you dreaming of launching and why? And again, if you can put all the restrictions aside and be just like, okay, in the perfect world, I would love to be doing this, what would that be? And while all of you are thinking, I'm going to give you a second to think about it. I just want to remind that we're actually going to have a vote, and thank you, Svetlana, for reminding, in the end of the meeting, and you can vote for your favorite table topics speech. Just we're going to put 1, 2, or 3 in the survey. So here's the question: what product are you dreaming of launching and why? And I'm going to ask Liz.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Barnum. Wow, so one thing I have been dreaming about is I think back at this favorite TV show I had when I was a teenager, and it was Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And one thing I just loved about this show is she could snap her fingers and change into any outfit she could ever imagine. And one thing I've discovered in the last few years that's kind of a parallel to that is the service Rent the Runway. And I've just loved it. I mean, I put it on pause right now because there's nowhere really to go out with COVID to dress up for. But I think if I could really have any product launch in the world, it would be the ability to try on any outfit, maybe with augmented reality, to be able to see anything under the sun in my room instantaneously, just like Sabrina, without the need to wait for Rent the Runway to ship it to my house, which takes 2 to 3 days. And so that would be one thing I would be really excited about, where you could shop across any retailer under the sun and try things on instantaneously. So that would be one really exciting thing I can think about.
Hey, Liz, what a great idea. I hope I can be one of the early adopters on that. This is so great. So now it's time for the third question. And the third question is, if you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice before the product launch, what would that be? Like a takeaway or a learning that you had. And while you're thinking about it, I'm actually going to share a link. And this is a cool game that I found on Amazon that's called Table Topics. And it has different themes. This one is original, and you can have one for kids, for family, for seniors, for pretty much anyone. And these are little topics, icebreakers that you can use for a party or pretty much anything. So you can get creative with it. So here's the question again. I hope you all are ready. If you could go back in time and give yourself an advice before the product launch, what would that be? And the question goes to Amy.
Hi. Oh, that is a tough one. I think one of the product launches I did in the past was a very a bit of a complicated product, or really a feature for an existing product that was pretty complicated and a little bit new to what our teams were used to. So our account management and operations team needed a lot of training, and I think one of the things that I wish I'd done more of was do more training so that they were more informed and understood the product better or the feature better. It it's something that I feel like I still have to do a lot of training on, and maybe the advice is just knowing that I was going to have to do more and more on like continuous ongoing training so that so that they would understand and be able to help customers adopt the product or the feature more. So, thanks.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, it's very important to manage all the stakeholders, and this is a great learning. So thank you for sharing. Okay, with this, I think I'm gonna pass it on to Svetlana.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you to all our Table Topics participants. I know it can be really tough being put on the spot, but that's the name of the game. If we don't practice, we don't get better, right? So thank you all for giving us your responses. And just a reminder to please direct message me over the next 5 minutes with your vote for 1, 2, or 3. So you can select my name from the dropdown and then just send in your number. I will tally those votes and then deliver the winner to you in a bit. But right now, in the meantime, we're going to move on to our evaluations. And it is my great pleasure to welcome back Rita Barber, our general evaluator. So over to you, Rita.
Thank you, Svetlana. Can everybody hear me all right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right. We're going to step away from the speaking side of things and look into the evaluation sort of things. And there are a team of people that help me go into this in more detail. We start off first with the evaluators for the speakers. So our first evaluator for our first speaker today, I'd like to welcome Lori Edwards. Lori?
Thank you, Rita. Let me just pin myself so you guys can see me real quick. So today I'll be evaluating the speech for our first speaker, Smarai. And it was a really great speech to start out with. I learned a lot about product launching. I've personally launched a few products, so it was great to hear your perspective of those launches. Your speech was well organized, and it seemed like you did prepare and practice it quite a few times. One thing that I did notice towards the end that I wish I saw more of was some more of your personality. So I started to see that you have this like fun, you're easygoing, like I had this ease when you were speaking about product launches. And I think that would be really great to hear more of and see more of in the future speeches that we get to hear from you. It was also really great that you used the word of the day, but you also used it in a way that kind of left us hanging for more. So you mentioned about how you can use metrics to measure those product launches. And I think that's something that I know for me as a product manager is really hard to actually do. So it made me excited to hear more from you. And I actually hope we do get to hear about that topic. So I think in the future, I would just like to get to know you personally a little bit more. So I think bringing that to your other speeches will be really great. And I'm excited to do that. I also liked when you started your speech off and you were talking about product launches and the different types of product launches, you define them for us. So even though we all may have done a product launch or we have some familiarity with it, by giving us the definition of what you mean by product launch, it really set the foundation for what you were going to talk about. And I enjoyed that part of your presentation. I think that's all I have. So I'll turn it back to you, Rita, and for the next eval.
Thank you very much, Lori. I appreciate that. Good evaluation. I am here to do the second evaluation for Misha's speech. Misha, where are you? It'd be great if I could see you, but I will just trust in my heart that you are there. So I loved your speech. You are one of those information-packed people. You want to make sure that people are satisfied with what they hear. And that shows to me a great level of consideration. So I want to thank you very much for being that kind of a speaker. Don't ever change that. I think that when you know you're that kind of speaker, there are two things you might consider doing. Number one, you must pause a little bit more, because if you go too quickly through your speech, as much as you want to give us these gifts, we can't hang on to them. It's too fast for our mind. But if you pause a little bit, we absorb it and we will come back to it, even if not initially, later on as we consider your speech and what you said. That can only happen with some pausing that's there. At a certain point, you said you were going to tell them what they probably already know. My suggestion is flipping that a little bit. Ask them what they know and say you'd like to add to that. I think that that actually is easier on the ears to hear something like that. But it was still good that you did it, because you were basically setting up a metric for where you were going to go with them, which as you speak more and more down the road, you'll be able to do on the fly, which will be wonderful for you. You're going to love that part, because it's kind of like you just keep on pulling out stuff from your mind that you can share with people, which is excellent. Let's see, the 3 takeaways. Oh, well, you know what? Wait a minute. I'm going to go back one step here. Pressure, time-wise. I felt it coming from you. I think you were watching the timer card, and all of a sudden I saw you speaking a little bit faster, as if you could. And the thing is that you want to think about that a little bit. Don't ever feel that kind of pressure because of what the timer is doing. Always remember what it is that you're setting to do. And the best way for you to know whether you're on task with that or not, well, there's 2 best ways. The best way initially is time your speech. That way, when the timer comes up, you'll still have an idea, is that person on the money, not on the money, something like that. The other way is experience, because as you do more speeches, as you do anything in Toastmasters, your body will start to know the rhythm, the amount of time, everything that's going on. And you want to be able to use that to your benefit, basically. Now, I want to talk about the best thing that you did in your whole speech that I loved. You gave away gifts. So cool. You did this thing where you had 3 takeaways that were reminders and gifts to everybody that was there. It was one of those things where, I mean, it's like, I feel like you invited us to dinner and then you gave us this fabulous dessert. And we weren't necessarily expecting it to be that fabulous. We thought it was just going to be maybe a bowl of ice cream, but you brought out a 7-layer cake. And it was just really wonderful and fun and great to see. Always keep that up, because, you know, at the end of the day, you can tell them everything in the world, but it's not about what they hear. It's about what they feel. When they feel that sense of excitement because of the gifts that you gave them, there's nothing better in the world. So keep that up. Thank you very much for a wonderful speech. All right. Now let us see our third speaker evaluator is Jennifer. Jennifer,
Yeah.
are you out there? Jennifer,
I am. Can you guys hear me?
All right, everybody, welcome Jennifer.
All right. Thank you very much for that introduction. So I did the evaluation for Erica, our third speaker. So Erica, I want to thank you for your speech and your topic here. I had felt through the course of your speech that I really got to know who you were at the core, right? So what I mean by that is really understanding a little bit about your roots, what makes you tick, how you've been able to adjust the course of your professional career in your life throughout multiple different things that you have tried. So I really felt like your speech was a gift in being able to understand who you are. In the very beginning, I think that it was really, you started out really in a great way, painting a picture with words of you going back to what's important to you, being able to visually see in my mind's eye, living out in Ohio on your on the farm, and that was a really great sense that I got. And then through the course of the rest of your speech, got maybe less of a visual stimulus, or through the words that you were using, it was maybe a little less visual, but I still got the sense of how you were pivoting throughout different and trying on different things throughout the course of your career. So I really want to thank you for that. Couple of pointers here. One is, be very aware that when you're on camera, I think you were standing, right? Are you standing? Okay. Be aware, of how you're moving in your body. It was a little bit distracting in terms of just, you have a tendency to shift your weight a lot, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think when you're in person, especially, that body language can really help draw in the crowd. Be aware, I think, on video and things of that nature, that it can be a little bit distracting. Also, just be aware of how you're utilizing your hands. And where it is in relation to the camera. I know we're all getting used to video, but you have a great way of being able to use your hands. But when it's in a camera type setting, just be sure that you're using them effectively, and kind of just be aware of where your hands are being placed. The other thing is, you do have a nervous tick, a little bit of, playing with your hair. You just did it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a little bit distracting, right? So be aware of that little bit of a nervous tick, I think. Overall, I really appreciated that you honor your gifts and you brought to us this ability to bring a sense of who you are, both not only your left brain and your right brain, the art and the analytical part of yourself together to create great products. So I appreciate that from your speech. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it back over. Thank you so much to Svetlana, if you could.
Actually, it would go back to me.
Oh,
General
okay,
Evaluator.
Rita. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer.
Mhm.
All right, let's do a little bit of checking in with reports first. Let's check in with our all counter. Rosalia, do you have a report to share with us?
I do, thank you. Yes, so I'll start off with the speakers. Surya had 9 ahs, 6 ums, 2 so's, 2 but, and 1 repeat. And then Misha had 5 ah, 4 1 so, 1 like, and 1 repeat. And then the last speaker, Erica, had 4 ah, 2 and then I'll move over to the table topic speakers. So Clara had 3 5 ums, 1 so, and 2 repeats. For Liz, she had 2 ums, and Amy had 4 2 ums. And I did collect or count the ones for the evaluators. Would you like me to share those or?
Yes.
Or, okay, perfect. Let's see, where did it go? For Lori, she had 1 7 1 like, and 1 repeat. Sorry, take that back. I mixed up Lori and Rita. Lori had 1 7 ums, and Rita had 1 like and 1 repeat. And lastly, Jennifer had 2 and 7 ums.
Great report. Thank you so much for that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's check in with our grammarian, who also, I believe, gave us the word for the day.
Yep.
Nat, are you out there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Okay. Srimai, I really liked, as everyone else mentioned, really liked the content of your speech. You had more ums and ahs, but I liked you saying friendly perspective and global release party. I thought that were really nice usage. Moving on to Misha, I really liked when you said sapling that is ready to be sown in the main garden. I really liked that. And I also liked the empathy to team, group, and yourself, and don't be shy to raise your hand. Those were used really nicely. For Erica, as mentioned by your evaluator as well, you really created a visual at the beginning of your speech with the 140-acre farm and the produce stand. I liked how you used pivoting and finding new passions and pursuing them, and usage of honoring your gifts, no matter how you see them fit and not fit together. For Clara, I liked the beginning, of your speech where you, yeah, hi.
We need to move along with this. If you could just give us maybe the top highlights that you have.
Okay, sure.
Thank
you. Yeah, so Clara, I liked the beginning of where you said bringing people together. Liz, I liked your usage of dreaming of the any outfit in any room and rent the runway, how you use that. That came out really nicely. And for Amy, I liked how you mentioned about being informed and adopting the feature. Yeah.
Okay, and then could you tell us who used the word of the day?
Yes, Srimaya used metrics and Misha used metrics. Those two used the word of the day.
All right, thank you for your report on that. I appreciate it. Our timer, Namrata.
Yes, hello. Thanks for giving me this reporting. So I have the reports for the speeches and the table topics. And for the speeches, Srimaya was on the yellow zone with 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Misha was in the yellow zone too with 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Erica was in the red zone with 6 minutes and 15 seconds. For the table topics, we have Clara in the yellow zone at 1 minute, 35 seconds. Liz in the green zone with 1 minute, 19 seconds. And Amy in the green zone with 1 minute and 16 seconds.
All right, well, thank you very much for that. All right, and then I'm going to go into my general evaluation report to share with everyone. But before I do, just looking at the agenda and just wanting to double check on this, we're going to do the voting simply for table topics today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, so hopefully everybody has had their opportunity to vote for best table topic speaker. This is my evaluation, general evaluation. We started right on time, which was most excellent. I'm going to hone in particular today into the Toastmaster. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because really the Toastmaster more or less sets the tone for the entire meeting. So it becomes imperative that the Toastmaster is completely comfortable with what the agenda is and what's going on. Now, I sort of felt like we were putting in a slide maybe that didn't work. I highly recommend that you reconsider that slide thing until you have been doing a lot more meetings and you get much more experienced at that, because the slides will throw you every single time. And when you're thrown at the very beginning of your meeting, you get a little bit thrown off course in the rest of the meeting. And if at all possible, certainly for the Toastmaster of the day, certainly for the general evaluator of the meeting, try and have a second copy of the agenda the night before or the morning of the meeting itself so that you have something to look at. I actually have a second monitor here with the agenda where I would normally put the agenda, but I mean, the monitor exploded this morning, literally exploded, made my room smell like burnt data. So I didn't have that to rely on. And I didn't think, oh, well, why don't I just go print one up? I didn't have that. So my suggestion is that you do make sure that you can do something like that so that you've got a hard copy in tandem with the meeting going on Zoom. Let's see. When you're introducing the speakers as the Toastmaster also, it's nice to launch them. So if you know a little something about them, that's wonderful. That's your perfect way to launch that speaker. If you don't, which is also understandable, reach out to that person a couple of days before and say, I'd like to give you the best introduction possible. What would you like me to say about you? So, and then use that when you introduce that person. It's a great way to lift everything up for that moment and also put that speaker up on an area where she can then go on and fly forward. I'm just going to go through everything here. You know, the warmth of a smile really does it all. And I have to say, that's one of the things that every single one of you have down pat. You are so warm. You make everybody feel welcomed. And I love that. And you may think that, oh, well, yeah, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. I can tell you, I've seen so many people not do that sort of thing, that to see you do that, it's music to my eyes, if you know what I mean. When you're doing table topics, the very first person that you should ask, maybe even the first two people, should be the members of the club, people who do not already have roles. Never a guest, because the poor guest has no idea what's going on. Okay. And I love a guest that plays a good game, you know, who says, yeah, I'm going to go for it anyway. And I don't know what I'm doing, but here we go. Man, is that great? I mean, you know, that's one of those things where you say, wow, what a team player that person is. I just love that. But we don't want to make it our practice. We want to go with showing a guest, this is how we respond in table topics, so that then when you do call on that guest, that person knows what they're doing. And by the way, the guest has an opportunity to decline to answer. Members do not have that opportunity, but guests do have the opportunity to say, I don't really know if I want to take that on right now. But I always tell people, you know, you got to play. There's no way you're going to learn how to swim until you jump into that pool. And then, gee, oh yeah, I even had Bravo Clara on there. Oh, it's really, just really nice. What I like in overall is, despite the part on the agenda that I feel is critical to a great meeting, what I saw and felt was this cohesiveness of everybody working together, which I really liked. I mean, that kind of teamwork, it's of course wonderful to do in a Toastmaster meeting, but why is it wonderful to do in a Toastmaster meeting? Because it speaks to who you are professionally. And that's just a wonderful kind of plus to have. That's all I can say. If I were going to recommend someone for an interview, I would call for someone like that. I want a team player. These people are team players, which is just great. So thank you so very much for a great meeting yet again. And I'm looking forward to many more. And in the meantime, I will turn this over to our Toastmaster of the day, Svetlana. Where are you?
I'm right here. Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you for those very valuable evaluations for everyone. Great. And now I have the results for our table topics votes. And our winner is, drum roll, Liz Barnum. So congratulations, Liz. I think we all are, I think we're all on the same wavelength of having that dream product. So let's all get that going. And so next up on our agenda, we've got club announcements, and I'm going to shoot it back to Erica, our president, to go through those.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And thank you, everybody, for such a wonderful meeting. Just a couple of announcements before we wrap up. Our new monthly theme, we're in a new month already, is getting started. So just keep in mind, we're all getting started with our new roles and learning all the positions, and it's okay to be a beginner. We're all pretty much beginners at this point. So. And an exciting announcement is a partnership that we're developing with Women in Product. Had a first meeting, and there's some exciting stuff going on. It's possible, it sounds like, that our club will be given a designated guaranteed spot at the conference. So we're going to be discussing setting up a competition within the club to be able to present in the yearly Women in Product conference. So that's really, really exciting. Along with the partnership is the ability for us to actually also help review and work on the agenda with Women in Product. So super exciting stuff going on. the charter applications moving forward. They were on break, on holiday break for Thanksgiving, and they'll be returning. So hopefully we'll hear soon that we're officially chartered and everybody will be able to jump into their pathways. All members, if you have not already, please make sure that you're in the Women in Product Toastmasters Club Facebook group, our private group for members. We do announcements through there and do some coordination for meetings. So please, if you're not there already, head on over. Also, if you're having any issues with the Google Drive, we're going to work on reorganizing things a little bit, but all templates and stuff that you'll need for meetings are all available in Google Drive. I also, so that's announcements, and I wanted to thank all of our guests for coming today and participating. We learned that Claire is really good under pressure today. And I'd like to invite you all to give us some feedback if you'd like. Let us know how you thought the meeting went. Let us know if you have any questions. We're excited for people to join us and to build the club. As Rita said, we're very welcoming. We all want to grow together, and we would be happy for you to join us. So if there are any guests that would like to give us some feedback, please feel free to speak up right now.
I have a question. Who would I be able to contact to get more information about more logistical things?
That would be Nav. Nav is our VP of membership, and she can help you get situated. All right. Well, thank you all again for coming, and I'm gonna give it back over to Svetlana.
Thank you. So let's see. I am actually going to re-gift this spot to Esha, who will talk through how you can sign up to participate in the different roles that each of these meetings features. So Esha, over to you.
Thank you, Svetlana. And I am showing the screen right now because it is important for us to know the next meeting. I know we have now all gone through few meetings together, and we are getting comfortable with what to expect for each of the roles. And now starting next meeting, we are going to start plugging in people or assigning the roles beforehand. So for the 20th meeting, which is again Sunday, the Sergeant of Arms is still going to be Svetlana. The Toastmaster is going to be Liz Barnum. Word of the day will come from our grammarian. Speaker, I'm putting people in Namrata, Rupa, and Subarna. Our evaluators are still going to be Rita as our first speech evaluator. Then the other two evaluators are going to be Olena and Erica. Table topics master, Rosalia. The general evaluator will still be Rita. We all can benefit from her experience. Grammarian, Lori, counter, Srimai, timer, Tanya. And then we'll close it out with our Sergeant of Arms, Svetlana. So these are the assignments for our next meeting. If you are unable to make that meeting, or if you have questions, please reach out to me by Wednesday so that we can make arrangements. If you would also want to volunteer for any of these roles, if you see the topic that is designated for that meeting, and if you would want to talk about on that topic and would like to volunteer, please let me know so we can secure your spot. Just want to also remind that the speeches for the 3 speakers, they need to come to me at least 1 week before the meeting date to have feedback. We are all doing great on our introductions and our themes, but I do want to emphasize one thing. The art of storytelling is an incredible way to engage with the audience because it makes the complex things simple. And this is what I look at when I take a look at the speech, to make sure that there is a storytelling art. As a product manager, we all know that how important is storytelling. And it not only helps with making things simple, but it also aids in information retention, as Rita mentioned, right, in one of the evaluations. So please, it is important to note that please submit your speeches to me at least 1 week before the meeting. The themes for our next meetings, the 20th meeting is market research. The next meetings are going to be how important is personalization and stakeholder management. Those are upcoming. Back to you, Svetlana.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you, Esha, first of all, of course, for reviewing all of that. I'm so excited for our next few meetings and getting smoother in terms of getting everything ready ahead of time and just being ready to go for our meetings. So as Esha was just saying, our next meeting is on December 20th. So that's 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. You'll also see the doodle that Liz posted earlier in the chat. If you haven't, take a look. It's just, it was posted at 2:06. So fill that out. We're gonna have a little happy hour. We're really hoping that we can kind of all establish closer relationships, get to know each other as we embark on this journey together. It's really been incredible. Thank you all so much for participating. If you have any questions, comments, please don't hesitate, reach out to us. The email again is wiptoastmastersclub.membership@gmail.com. Any questions, any feedback, always welcome. So thank you all again for joining today. And with this, closing the meeting. Thank you all. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.